All right, guys, welcome back. So we're going to use this as a quiz review for Friday's quiz. Usually we're just going to go over a couple topics, a couple vocabulary words. So right now, if you haven't done so already, please grab a piece of paper and a pencil. The first word we're going to go over is a pioneer. So a pioneer is a person in America who traveled west during the 1840s in search of a better life. Now, this person was usually looking for more money, freedom, and even opportunity. Now, remember, all these things that you might want come at a great cost. Remember the Donner Party, the family and a group of people that got stuck in the Sierra Nevada mountains and ultimately ended up eating each other. So, not such a good thing all the time, but the great risk might get you lots of money, more. Now, the next slide and word that we want to cover is manifest destiny. This is the feeling that all Americans should expand all the way to the West Coast. We analyzed this photograph by John Gast, and the name is American Progress. So when we were analyzing it, we were pointing out things like the light, or our civilized part of the country, is bringing electricity, religion, technology, transcontinental railroad, new ways of farming, and civilization. On the light side, the bright side of the painting. On the dark side, we see the wilderness. We see animals. We see Native American Indians. So what really this painting is trying to portray is that the eastern part of the country needs to civilize the western part. Industrialization, the shift to large-scale production in factories. Many new inventions like the camera, cotton gin, and spinning wheel all were invented during this time period. The next word I would like to discuss is abolition. Now remember, the word abolition means the movement to end slavery for good. Now, when President Lincoln was elected, one of his main standpoints as running for president is that he wanted to abolish slavery. Now, abolition is quickly done. That means slavery would be quickly finished and over. Secede. The word secede means to formally withdraw. So during the American Civil War, 11 southern states seceded the Union because they felt that the northern states and President Lincoln did not understand that slavery was needed for their economies. Now, the difference between the two, the northern part of the country had a much higher population, and traditionally, a lot of these states were much more rich than the southern part. Now, the southern states felt that the northern part was kind of bullying them. Taking away slavery was like taking away their money and their business. Now, the other argument is that these gray states, these territories, were not accounted for. So the northern states said, you know what, these new territories, once they become states, they will no longer be slave states. Now, the South said, hey, that's not fair. They should be slave states. And that was the second big argument for the slavery debate. Civil War. A civil war is a war between opposing groups of citizens in the same country. Now, we have a picture of the American Civil War here, but a civil war can occur in any country at any time when there's problems. So over here we have the Union in the blue, and then the Confederacy, the South in the red and the brown. They're fighting against each other because they have two different ideas about what the country should be like. Emancipation Proclamation. When someone proclaims something, they're very serious about it. So President Lincoln in 1863 gave this proclamation, or this basically like a speech, and this freed all slaves in the states in rebellion during the American Civil War, and again, delivered by President Lincoln. You can see, if you zoom in a little bit, all states enslaved people shall be free. And this is talking about in the South. Oh, sorry, there's a selfie of me in here. World War I. World War I was from 1914 to 1918. We saw things like trench warfare, new weapons like tanks, mustard gas, and other advanced weapons, alliances, secret agreements and partnerships between countries, where basically a country said that, you know, if you fight, I'll fight with you. And if we get in a fight, then we'll fight. So that's what really turned it into a world war. The countries had agreements. Basically, if you were to get in a fight, we'd back you up. And remember, it's from 1914 to 1918. World War II. So the first couple things, we have the Axis powers of Germany, Italy, and Japan, basically like the bad guys. And our first really bad guy, awful guy, is Hitler. Our second awful guy is Mussolini. Now, both these guys are what we would say, when we learned about in the beginning of the year, are dictators. They rule with absolute authority and fear. The next thing that we saw was the use of atomic weapons. Now, you have to realize, Mussolini and Hitler controlled this part of the world in Europe, right? One of our continents. There was another war going on over here with Japan in the Pacific. They called it two theaters. Imagine going to a movie theater. There's a bunch of movies playing. This movie's over, but this movie's still going on. So to end this movie in the Pacific, the United States developed atomic weapons and used two of them against Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the last bullet point, Holocaust. We talked about this. Hitler's organized murder of Jews and other groups of people. You can't forget. You can't discredit. It was also other groups of people, not just the Jewish people. Skipping to the history of Mexico. Remember, the Maya came before the Aztecs. Their system of writing was hieroglyphics. Basically what hieroglyphics are symbols that represent a word. So imagine that I drew a flower and that meant smelling nice. Okay? That was their system of writing. And Aztecs, they came after the Maya. They were really strong. Aztecs, aggressive. Remember, they cut that princess's heart out and then they presented the corpse of the dead princess to their gods, because when you have more than one god, it is a what? Polytheistic religion. Okay? So that's basically it. It's a quick quiz on Friday. And for this, what I want you to do after you're done watching this, quiz a partner for about 10 minutes. Quiz each other on, hey, what are the Maya people? Or what are the Aztec people? And then after you're done with this, take this paper home and study it. That's all you have to do for tonight, and you will get an excellent grade on your quiz tomorrow. Thanks, guys.